these things they call them NIL deals, and apparently this player, this quarterback, uh, basically he went and he was recruited by the University of Florida. He had already made an agreement to sign with Miami. Miami was going to give him like $9.5 million or something like that. And because the University of Florida trumped their offer and gave him 13.5 million, he went ahead and he took the deal with Florida. And so what happened though, which was sad and crazy, is that Florida did not deliver. Who all the people that made promises, I think it was a booster or something like that, that made this promise that he was going to get all this money. They just broke the promise. They were just like, well, hey, we don't actually owe you anything. And I don't know if it was because maybe there were no contracts signed or whatever, but it was really interesting to observe this. And so he's suing the University of Florida. He's suing the coach. The coach's name is what's the coach's name? The coach at the University of Florida's name is Billy Napier. The quarterback's name is Jaden Rashada, and he now plays for the University of Georgia. And he's basically saying that they lied to him. And I thought that was really interesting because actually it taps into a couple of financial concepts that I want to bring to your attention, that I want to introduce you to. So I'm gonna read this story to you, and then I'm going to let you guys know what the financial theories are that this applies to, because actually this is an important aspect. Every morning we do this economic awareness training. Well, this is an element of economic awareness that I think is worth considering, something to think about, because a lot of you, at some point, I'm sure you want to do business. How many of you either have a business or plan to own a business? Give me a yes in the chat. How many of you, have contracts that you may sign with other people, or agreements that you're going to make where somebody makes a promise to give you money? And then the big question is, what requires them to keep their promise? What requires them to maintain any commitment to you whatsoever? And a lot of times we may not have the protections that we think we have. And so that's the thing that I want to sort of talk about today. All right. So anyway, one thing I want to say really quick. I was rude. I apologize. I always normally I greet you when we come in, but sometimes if something's on my mind, I'll jump right into it. I apologize. Good morning, Rose and Romilda, Lila, Edward Samuels, Monica, Diane. I see you in there. I see Carol Heath, Jonathan, Antonio Fuller, Deborah Gross. Good morning to you, Josephine Rainwater. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, April West, Robert Houston, Charlene Rose, etc. I want to say hello to everybody. I want to be. I don't want to be disrespectful, so that's important for me to greet you properly and wish you a wonderful day. All right, so here's the thing. All right, so let me read the story. It says here, this is in Tampa Bay Times. It says, here's a cautionary tale as the Florida High School Athletics Association ponders rules for allowing student athletes to benefit financially from the use of their name, image, and likeness. A former University of Florida football recruit has sued the university and coach Billy Napier over an NIL deal gone sour. Quarterback Jaden Rashada, who now plays for the University of Georgia, alleges that he never received payment for the 13.85 million four-year deal to play at the University of Florida. He says he turned down 9.5 million from the University of Miami in favor of the more lucrative agreement that did not come to fruition. The suit called the case emblematic of abuses running rampant. Let me see here. They have been going to a different page. Running rampant in college football. So let me see. I'm looking for more. They got to give me. Come on, y'all got to give me more than that. That's. You just gave me the beginning of the story. I need the whole story. So let me. I got this little news app. Let me see if I can find a better one that can give us a few more details. Because this is a really interesting financial awareness kind of issue, because it links to a couple of topics in financial theory that we used to study in grad school. One that you may have heard of called moral hazard. Moral hazard, which I'm going to talk to you guys about that in a second, but it affects your life. Also, things like due diligence, this. There's also a whole theory. There's thousands of research papers written on this in finance, and it's basically what they call the lemon theory. And what I'm going to do is to heighten your awareness. Hopefully, I'm going to explain some of these theories and how they link to what happened with this NIL deal. So CNN says that Rashida alleges that Hugh Hathcock, a longtime University of Florida booster, along with Napier, the coach, never intended to pay him the money that he promised after the high school senior had originally intended to play at the University of Miami. At the time, Rashada was a highly coveted high school quarterback out of Pittsburgh. According to 247 Sports, he was the nation's sixth highest rated quarterback. The lawsuit alleges the 13.85 million. That's crazy that the sixth best quarterback would get $13 million. But this really explains just the amount of money that's in college sports. College sports is far more lucrative than you can ever imagine. In many cases, it's as lucrative or more lucrative than the NBA and the NFL. Not in every context, but when you look at the most highly rated, most highly viewed sporting events in history, a lot of them are from March Madness or college football, college basketball games. And so if you think about this, imagine if you had a version of the NBA where everybody made minimum wage, where instead of paying these players $200 million deals and $100 million contracts, imagine if everybody made, they gave everybody free lunch and free tuition or something. What happens to all that money? What happens to all that money? A lot, money doesn't disappear. It does. It's not like somebody took it and flushed it down the trash can. That money is still there. It's still floating around. Somebody's picking up that money. And this is one of the contributors to the racial wealth gap, because a lot of that money ends up in the hands of the coaches and the administrators and the people that are running the networks instead of the athletes. And this was actually something I've been writing about this for many, many years. I wrote about it way back in the 1990s. And when I was at University of Kentucky, I would analyze how much money the basketball team was making. And I said, it's crazy that this coach is making millions of dollars, but the players aren't getting any of this money. I've never watched a basketball game to see the coach. People don't come to a game to see, to see the coach and his wife and their kids. But so why are they benefiting from someone else's labor at a level that even the players aren't benefiting, right? So, and I guess it got attention because the one of the players told me that the coaches told them not to read articles that I wrote, not because they weren't true, but because they didn't want the players to even start thinking about the money. They didn't want pay attention now, pay attention. We're here for economic awareness training, right? Financial consciousness. What they were doing was they were limiting the financial consciousness of the athletes. When they talk about weapons of mass distraction, when they distract the young athlete with the booty and the bling and the fame, they're like, we want you to pay attention to all of that because we don't want your awareness to be on the money. We don't want you to have economic awareness. Do you understand? This is why I chose to do this class, and I wanted to do this every day, and I wanted to do it for free because I really need you to understand this. The goal is to keep you distracted so you're not thinking about the things that actually matter. You're not thinking about the money. So when I was at Kentucky, think about this. Why would the coaches, I mean, Rick Pitino, this multi-million-dollar coach, world famous, I'm a dumb little, not dumb. I was a little graduate student. I was 25 years old. Why would his team and his coaching staff go out of their way to tell their players, don't read articles from Boyce Watkins? Well, because Black intelligence is kind of a scary thing. It's kind of dangerous. It's a threat to the pre-existing system. When you have this guy who knows more about finance than 99.9% of all white people, who's also speaking on all the different ways that you're exploiting the Black community, that becomes kind of uncomfortable for people. That's hard for them to defend. And so through the years, I just kind of remained consistent. I kept speaking on the issue. When I was on the faculty at Syracuse, I would go on CNN and talk about it. And I said, this is an easy topic. This is not a debate. This is not controversial. And what they would always say is they'd say, well, Dr. Watkins, we invited someone from the NCAA to debate you on whether athletes should be paid, but they didn't send a representative. I said, of course they didn't, because they know what they're doing. They're economically aware of the billions and billions and billions of dollars they're getting, while star players, their mothers are sitting at home in the projects. The players can't even buy lunch. They can't even get groceries. But you're raking in billions of dollars. Of course, you don't want to try to defend that. Who can defend this?